Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson, this is Stephen Howson FC, and this is Scouting Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku is a player that I've been absolutely buzzing about since he signed for Manchester United, and long before he signed for Manchester United, I thought he was one of the best in the league. I was on the Football Republic talking about him being the best striker in the league last season, last Christmas. He's someone that I think has got massive untapped potential, and the way that Jose Mourinho likes to set up his teams and the way that Manchester United have been playing their football recently, I see many positives for how Lukaku is going to fit in. So I'm going to try and do this scouting video where I'm talking objectively about his weaknesses as well as his strengths, and I'm going to conclude it with how I think he's going to fit into the Manchester United system. But before we get into all that, let's look at the strengths of Romelu Lukaku. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is his finishing. Lukaku is the kind of player that manages to make space for himself. In this clip, what you're going to see is Romelu back to goal, roll his defender, take him on and put it in from a very, very difficult angle. And I think this alone shows you what he's going to offer to Manchester United. That ability to turn when you've got defenders blocking your way and put the ball in the back of the net like that is something that Manchester United have massively lacked. This alone is going to improve us next season. And again, this is another example of what Lukaku can offer to Manchester United. Ball comes into him, he holds off his defender, controls it, turns and shoots and scores. And this is the level of clinical finishing that Manchester United have really lacked. Lukaku's work rate is often something that he's criticised for, but as you can see here, he's leading the line, chasing them down, and then he's back in position to receive a ball through, and with a coolest of heads, slots it away for an absolutely fantastic finish. So here's something that Manchester United have suffered with a little bit. We've got 7 defenders in the box there, marked either side. He springs up, he wins a header and he puts it in at the near post. That is something that Manchester United have really needed of late, and that's something that Lukaku can bring. He scores a variety of types of goals. Here's another one. Here's an example of something that he's managed to do very well. Ball played in, uses his pace, uses that bad touch that he's got, takes it past and puts it in the opposite cheek. That there, against a top 6 club, something that we are told that he doesn't do on a regular basis. That was an excellent finish. This is something that I think Lukaku will use in the big games for Manchester United. Counter-attack, using his pace, gets around that last defender, uses upper body strength to hold him off and slots a goal away nice and easy there on the keeper's near side. Lukaku is a complete centre-forward, an absolute complete centre-forward. Like I said, variety of goals that he manages to score. I think the Burnley goal is my favourite, but this one's also a pretty good one. As you can see, capitalising on the mistake from the midfield. Nice little bit of interplay, gets the ball out of his feet, takes it round him and puts it in the left-hand side of the goal. An absolutely unbelievable goal. And as I'm saying, there is a variety of the goals that Lukaku is scoring. He's not poaching from inside the box. He is left foot, he's right foot, he's using his head, he's using his body, he's using his pace. This is why I'm excited about Lukaku coming in. Again, a little bit more of a link-up play there, using his pace, using his power, and then again, a cool finish. This is why his finishing is so good. He doesn't seem to rush his opportunities when he's in front of goal. He always seems to be in complete control, doesn't wallop it, places it. Now, for someone that's his size, strength and power, the placing of these goals is absolutely fantastic. Here we have another top 6 opponent, Manchester City. Another one of those teams that supposedly doesn't score against. As you can see, arriving late into the box. Cool finish, left foot, down and low. Keeps it in, keeps a goal. This is what we are getting from Manchester United. And you talk about the value for money. I think we're getting value for money with this, I really do. I think this is poor defending from Southampton. I also think it's poor goalkeeping from Southampton. But a cool finish, puts it in the top right-hand corner of the goal. Again, they all count. These are the sort of goals that Manchester United really need. Another counter-attacking goal, this time against Leicester. Using his pace, his power, gets the better of Wes Morgan, steams into the box with it, beats the last man and slots it in the opposite corner of the goal. I absolutely love this guy. If you can't see how this is going to affect Manchester United going forward next season, I like Zlatan, but Zlatan doesn't have the mobility to do the sort of things that Lukaku's doing. I don't think Lukaku's on the same level in terms of ability, but mobility and just the sheer difference that he's going to offer in terms of link-up play and pace is going to massively improve Manchester United's attack going forward next season. Another example, over the top, nice cool finish in between the keeper's legs. You can't argue that. Mark my words, Lukaku is going to score goals for Manchester United. We can see here, this is against Manchester United, a counter-attack. Basically, led, started and delivered by Lukaku. Gets around the back of Marcus Rojo, manages to almost get a shot off Bay coming and covering there. But you'll see this time and time again, around about the halfway line, using his pace, completely direct, holding the defender off excellent there, and eventually getting a goal. Lukaku can set off these attacks on his own, and this is what Manchester United lack. When we talk about pace in that final third, this is something that United have needed, and Lukaku brings this on his own. He's very direct. He's too big to really think about anything else, but he holds the ball up well. He gets crosses in for other people. He is the total package in terms of a centre forward. The pace and power, as you can see, the pace and power is something that's going to make a huge difference to us going forward. Drag that one a little bit. This is against Arsenal. Absolutely dusts Bellerin for pace round the outside and manages to get a cross come shot off in the end. Pace, pace, pace for days. For a guy that is the size of him, pace. Now, people can talk about their work rate all along, but as a big guy that's able to put this level of sprinting in, he's going to be a huge asset. And I think it's easy to mark him. It's easy to keep him out of a game when it's him against whoever. When it's Everton, this is another one against Manchester City, getting around the back quite easily. When he plays for Manchester United, there's going to be other players up there in support that are able to help him out with this. So he can hold the ball up, he can hold it up and he can lay it off for the likes of Pogba, Herrera, Marshall, Rashford. I think if we do play that 3-5-2 system and we do see Rashford and Lukaku up front, the interplay between those is going to be something pretty special, I think. Link-up play is something that I think Lukaku also brings to the game. As you can see in some of these clips here now, that he plays excellent with his back to goal, likes to drag that defender out of the centre of defence, using his power, using the fact that they've got to mark him one-on-one, drag him out of the way, hold the ball up, lay it off for somebody else, and then move on. He's got an underrated through ball, he's got an underrated cross, and I think the way that he drags the centre defence around, because you've got to stay tight to him, because if you give him a yard, he's faster than you, he's better than you in the air, and he's stronger than you. You have to play a tight game with him, and if you play a tight game with him, you allow him to drag you out of position and link up play. I think him and Paul Pogba, him and Mkhitaryan, him and the other forwards that are in the Manchester United side are going to use this particular sort of move where the ball's played into him and he spins off and goes in behind. I think you're going to see this a hell of a lot. I really do. I think this is one of his better attributes, the way he can take the ball, move it on for somebody else. And if you'll notice in these clips as well, the first touch ain't bad as well. I mean, he often gets criticised for it, but I think the first touch is pretty decent in some of these. I mean, good feet there, nice and quick moving. He's also directing play. He's also saying where he wants the ball to be going. So there's three of the positive things that Lukaku is going to bring to Manchester United. But let's face it, he is not the complete package. He is not the perfect centre forward. There are issues in his game. So let's talk about and let's be honest about them. The first touch. Now, the first touch thing has become a myth. Like the fact that Paul Pogba was a dab in Sissoko and he wasn't value for money and he couldn't run a game and all the other sort of stuff that they was talking about with Paul Pogba last season. It already looks like it's going to be talking about Lukaku's first touch. Now, it isn't perfect. I can absolutely guarantee that it's not perfect. And around about 50% of the time, it's not actually quite 50% of the time, but around about 35 to 40% of the time, as the ball is played into him, he can have a heavy first touch. Now, the stats don't back up that he's completely useless in possession. He does have a decent first touch. He often uses a single touch for a one-touch finish. He doesn't generally take control of the ball. He can hit it first time and bury it. The problem I think that he has is big, and I think this is a benefit to Manchester United if he gets this right. And I think it's just something that he didn't really have at Everton. When the ball's played into him nice and fast, he likes to get it out nice and fast and get on the move. And I think sometimes he can be a little bit giddy, and that can lead to that heavy first touch that you can see, which is there. I'm not going to deny it's there. It is there. But you've got to think about the size of the guy, you've got to think of the pace of the guy, and you've got to think of all the other attributes that come with him. Juan Mata doesn't have a heavy first touch because Juan Mata's not looking to get round and get past. Juan Mata's going to take that ball in, he's going to touch it nice and soft, and he's going to keep it on him. That's what Juan Mata does. Juan Mata has got one of the best first touches. The same we saw with Shinji Kagawa, someone who had an absolute beaut of a first touch. Lukaku does not have that. Lukaku is a little bit more like a bull in a china shop. But that's one of the key attributes of this player. So, is it a problem, his first touch? I don't think so. Because he's deadly with the finish. He's excellent with the link-up play. He's absolutely rapid and he will start counter-attacks and finish them on his own. And I think people are just massively overplaying it because they're trying to find something to stick in with Manchester United. The other thing that people talk about is Lukaku's work rate. He has the lowest number of sprints. He has the lowest number of distance covered as a striker. But you know what? I'm not bothered. We saw at Manchester United at one point we had Tevez and we had Berbatov, and they was literally chalk and cheese. One of them was languid and would walk around the pitch and had the touch of God himself. Berbatov, obviously. Tevez didn't have the greatest first touch, and he would put pressure on the opposition defence. He would put pressure on anyone that was in possession, and he would absolutely chase him down. Iron lungs would completely go for him. But who was the better player? For me, it was Berbatov. Berbatov was more effective, he was more clinical with his finishing, and he was just a better number 9 for Manchester United. That doesn't mean that there's not a time and a place for that sort of intensity that Tevez offers you. I actually think that in Marcus Rashford, United have got someone with that Tevez level of intensity. But you know what? Marcus has also not got the perfect touch. Marcus's touch occasionally goes awry in the same way that Lukaku does, because he's all about the pace. He uses his pace to get round you, he uses his pace to knock the ball past you, he uses his pace to put you under pressure. So I've got no issue with it. I think you can be wasteful in the final third and it not really affect what goes on. I'm going to have an attitude with my centre-half if they've not got the best of touch, because there's very little pressure on a centre-half when they're receiving the ball. I'm going to have an attitude with my central midfield. I expect them to be in the mid to high 90s in terms of pass completion. In the final third, you need to take risks to create risk, to create chances. You've got to take a chance to make a chance. This is the old saying. So I'm happy to lose, not happy, but content that you're going to lose a significant portion of your possession in that final third. Sometimes under Louis van Gaal, Manchester United was far too safe. Players would receive the ball static, and there wasn't generally too much that you would see them losing with the ball in those positions. They would receive the ball and they would play the ball off. High pass completion rates in that final third. Now, if you want to play a more exciting game, if you want to play a more ruthless game, if you want to play a quicker game, which I think was what Manchester United, 1, need to do, and 2, will be doing with Lukaku as our number 9, then you have to accept that sometimes you're going to have a heavy first touch and sometimes you're going to lose possession. That's the nature of the beast. That is the nature of attacking football. You have to take if you eliminate the risk, then you're going to be very safe, very dull, very predictable. If you start adding in risk, you start adding in danger, you start adding in opportunities that you can lose the ball, you're also going to surprise the defence, you're going to catch them off guard, and you're going to make something happen. There's a time and a place for risk, and in the opposition third, in that penalty box, is the place and time for that risk. And I'm completely happy with Manchester United, Lukaku, Rashford, Martial, losing the ball, trying something, because that is how you score a goal. We saw all the draws under Louis van Gaal, and we saw the boring, some people called it negative football, sideways and backwards. If you want attacking football, if you want exciting football, you have to accept that you're going to lose the ball occasionally. And that's the top and bottom of it. So I think Lukaku fits United's plans. I think he fits what the fans want to see. And in conclusion, for what we've got in terms of money and all that lot, no players value for money at the moment. So I'm not going to say 75 million is a bargain. I think it's an obscene amount of money. But this is the current market that we find ourselves in. When a right back for Manchester City is going for 50 million, it's absolutely ludicrous. We got Lukaku in, we got him at the right age. He scored more goals before the age of 23 than basically every living legend in the game. This is a kid with a lot of potential. This is a kid that I think has got a lot of friends already at Manchester United. And it's someone that I think is going to suit our style of play and has, in one sense, replaced what Zlatan offered us. In another sense, advanced what Zlatan offered us. I think Zlatan, in terms of raw ability and experience, can't be touched with Lukaku at the moment. But I think he can get there. And I think the difference that he offers you in terms of that pace, that destructive counter-attack, that raw power, and the clinical finishing, you might see Lukaku score more goals than Zlatan. But if he doesn't, I think the team scores more goals. Last season we saw Zlatan be the focal point of every single thing that Manchester United did. And if he was having an off day, Manchester United didn't score. Lukaku brings more players into the game. He brings the midfield in. He creates space for other people because you have to mark him closely because of that pace, because of that power, because of that aerial threat. Zlatan, as good as he was coming to the end of his career, and often you would find him in the number 6 position rather than stretching the defence and being on that last shoulder. Lukaku will not be doing that. Lukaku will be leading the line in every sense of the word. Manchester United have got an absolute player here, and I can't wait to see him start. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I'm going to try and refine these scouting videos to try and make them the best format that educates and informs as well as entertains. Let me know in the comments who you'd like to see me do one. Someone suggested doing one for Perisic on Twitter. If we get 2,000 likes, I will do another scouting video because that tells me that you guys are interested in it. Let me know in the comments who you think. Give us a subscribe. I've just hit 35,000 subscribers. I'm probably going to try and aim for 50k before Christmas. So every little subscribe helps. Thank you for watching. And let me know in the comments who you think. Laters.